everyone. Thank you for joining us for Children of the Light Bible Study. Today we're going to talk about meekness. And before we get started, we're going to go ahead and start with prayer. So, Father High, we give you the praise, honor, and glory. And we thank you for allowing us to make it to another Shabbat. We thank you for what you're doing with every last one of us in this room. And continue to order our steps. Amen. Amen. All right, now we're going to have the Lord's Prayer in ancient Hebrew, led by your Dawada.
So we're going to all say it together. Micah, DJ, eyes up here. We're all going to say it together and loud, okay?
Okay.
We're not rushing.
Okay.
We're saying it together.
Okay.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Adonai Shabbat Shemayim Kodash Haya Shekha Ahaya Lavawaka Dava'a Matuzawan Haya Aisha Ba'aratza Kowa Haya Bashemayim Nafemanawa Lacham Kal Yawam Wasala Nawa, Kawawa Nawa, Kasala Nawa, Kawawa Nawa, Wala'a, Vaya'a Nawa, Valasaya Wan, Aval, Hawashai Nawa, Vai, Kaya, Laka, Havalakwa, Waha, Allah, Waha, the Pa'ara, La'ai, Walawyam, Aman. I wonder how we can get this.
All right, now we're going to do the Lord's Prayer in English. I want everybody to get loud. I want to hear everybody say it, okay?
In English.
All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
All right, good job, everyone.
No quit. Yeah. What happened?
So now we're going to do the credo. So you guys know the drill.
Yes.
What book of the Bible is the credo in?
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4.
All right, on the count of 3, I want to hear everybody nice and loud and together.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Shemaya Shirala Ahaya, Alahaya Ahaya. Hero Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Shemaya Shirala Ahaya, Alahaya Nawa Ahaya Akai. Hero Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Shemaya Shirala Ahaya, Alahaya Nawa Ahaya Akai. Hero Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord.
Interesting.
All right. So now we are going to do the Yes, the Hebrew alphabet.
Try by myself.
Mm-mm.
Everyone, let's listen.
Eloise and Amaris, say it together. Micah, DJ, and Haziah, say it together. Araya, Neve, and Zion, say it together.
Y'all gotta say it louder.
All right, everyone, all together.
Good job. Great job. That was
All right, everyone, let's.
With the
All
Huge.
right. So,
The strawberry.
we're gonna talk about the fruit of the spirit. Let's talk about some of the ones we went over so far.
Love,
Love,
joy, peace, suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. Next one is meekness.
long suffering.
Meekness.
So now we're gonna look at
Meekness.
meekness. Meekness, not meekness. Meekness.
Meekness.
I know that's not Shadow.
All right, so before we get started, I want you guys to tell me what comes to mind when you first hear the word meekness. M, okay. First letter. That's what it comes to mind. All right. Anybody else? M. Okay, another M. Anything else? What do you guys think meekness means?
Humbleness. Humbleness.
Humbleness? Being humble? Okay, good. So now we're going to listen to a quick story from your Dawada Amana.
Yay!
Oh, they getting excited.
So everyone, Shemai, listen to the story. All right?
So the story that we're going to talk about today, you can actually find it in Luke chapter 18.
Where's Luke?
New Testament.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, can I have my D?
We're not going to read it,
Mm-mm.
but on your own time with your parents,
No.
you can read this story.
Yay!
All right.
Hey, you're not reading.
So in this
Bible.
Mash, don't need help.
Shh, everyone,
Zion.
Shemai.
What happened?
Oh,
So in this story, I want you to tell me who is meek and who is not. Okay?
Okay.
So in this story, we have a Pharisee and then we have a publican. Do you know what a Pharisee is?
I know.
They were the religious leaders of Yeshaya's time.
I know that.
No, you don't miss.
And a publican, they're the people who work with the money and they do taxes and stuff. Tax collector. So both men were praying one day. Listen, eyes on me. Zion. Ariah. So there was two men, the publican and the Pharisee. Both men prayed. The Pharisee prayed and said, Lord, I thank you that I am not like this man. I don't commit adultery. I pay all my taxes. I do everything I'm told to do. I'm better than this man. And then the tax collector prayed, and the Pharisee, he had his eyes up looking into heaven. But when the tax collector prayed, he had his head hung down, and he said, Lord, have mercy on me, for I am a sinner. Who showed meekness and who did not?
A bad person?
Was the Pharisee showing meekness when he prayed?
No. Yeah.
He was showing what?
What was the Pharisee showing when he said, oh, I thank God I'm not like him? Is that nice or mean? Mean.
So he was showing pride.
Because he said I'm better than
Yeah.
Because he said I'm better than him.
Yeah.
And what did the tax collector show? He was being meek. Because he said what?
I
Have mercy on me, for I am a
sinner.
sinner.
And one important thing that Amana said, that he put his head down low. So what did he do? He showed meekness. He wasn't looking up prideful. He didn't have a pride look. He was humble. He put his head down.
He was humble.
Yeah.
He said
Meekness. Because he put his head down and he was, Lord, have mercy on me. He put his head down. He didn't hold his head up and say, I thank you, I'm not like this one over here. You know, he wasn't in pride. Yeah. Y'all understand?
Yeah.
So when you pray, what are you going to do? Are you going to hold your head up?
No.
And say, I'm glad I'm not like her or him? Or you going to put your head down and say,
Show me. How are you going to pray? Show me.
Like that.
Should your head be up or down?
Down.
Up or down?
Down.
Down.
Yes, you pray like that.
You bow your head when you pray.
And also, guys, when we're talking about meekness, some people think of the word meekness as being as someone who is weak. But if someone is meek, that does not mean that they're weak, okay?
Yes.
They're humble.
Yes.
Lakan?
Come on.
All right. So now what we're going to do, we're going to read our quick opening scripture, and then we're going to look into more about meekness. You guys ready?
Yes.
I heard 1, 2, yes, come on.
Yes.
So our opening scripture is Matthew 5 and 5.
Matthew 5 and 5?
Yes, Matthew chapter 5, verse 5. Everyone say the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 5.
Parents have to get it so they can get it quick on their own.
Old Testament or New Testament?
It's the New Testament.
Yeah, we're done with it.
Let me see.
Yeah, but it was in y'all way.
My stuff is on.
Let's make
Verse
5.
5.
Yeah.
Verse 5.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 5. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
Did you guys hear it?
Let me see.
So who are blessed?
The meat.
Talk louder.
The meat.
And what are they going to inherit? What are they going to inherit? No.
They shall
There
inherit
you go, the
the
earth.
earth.
Good. Good. So now let's take a look at some more scriptures with meekness. We're going to get Galatians chapter 6, verse 1. Everyone say the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 1.
What chapter?
Chapter 6, verse 1.
Which one? Mommy, you got now.
Verse 1.
Galatians chapter 6, verse 1. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such as one, in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself least, thou also be tempted.
So if you guys see someone that may be making a mistake, you're not gonna tell them, "Oh, you made a mistake. You stupid. You did something dumb. You can't get nothing right." You don't say nothing like that. That's mean. Would you want somebody to tell you something like that? That you're stupid and you're dumb, and that you did something wrong?
And you can't tie your shoes right.
So instead, you can be like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second? I saw that you did this, and that's not the way to do it. Maybe try it this way instead." How does that sound?
Good.
You sure you don't want to say you stupid?
No.
All right, okay, making sure.
What?
All right. But you do it humbly. You are humble when you talk to somebody about maybe something they made a mistake on. Okay. You don't want to just kind of call them out and then
Make
Make
them
them
feel
feel
bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you're gonna end up sounding like the Pharisee. I'm better than this person, and we don't want that. Okay. All right. So then let's take a look at Psalms chapter 37, verse 11. Everyone say the book of Psalms,
The
book of Psalms,
chapter 37,
chapter 37,
verse 11.
Verse
11.
Verse 11.
Mommy, no, that's the Old Testament.
It's the Old Testament.
What's the verse?
Verse 11.
You first saw it. I own it.
Psalms chapter 37, verse 11. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace.
So then we just read that in Matthew 5 and 5.
Yeah.
And then with this scripture, it also talks about peace. And what is peace?
Calm.
Yeah, it is also,
Doing fruit of the spirit.
yes, a fruit of the
there we
Spirit. That's another fruit of the Spirit, but we're talking about peace right now.
Yeah.
Yes, peace.
I just say peace.
She did.
I just say banana.
Yeah, that's the long suffering one. So now we're going to go to Psalms chapter 25, verse 9 and 10. So everyone say the book of Psalms,
The book of Psalms,
chapter 25,
chapter 25. But no, just go to chapter 25.
verse 9 and 10.
You're already in Psalms. Verse 9 and 10. Go to chapter 25.
Verse 9. Verse 9. Yes.
9 and 10.
All right, and let's go ahead and take a look at that.
Psalms chapter 25, verse 9. The meek will he guide in judgment, and the meek will he teach his way. All the paths of the Lord are mercy and truth unto such as keep his covenant and his testimonies.
So we see in Psalms chapter 25 that Yeshua, he guides humble people and he teaches them, okay? So if we're like the Pharisee thinking we're better than people, is Yeshua going to work with us?
No.
No. All right. Good job. Now we're going to take a look at some things. The opposite of humble, which is pride.
I'm sorry. Put that on your lap.
Not yet. I'll help you. Okay. So when we look at pride, a prideful person, they think they know better than Yeshua and that their way is right and they know better than Yeshua. So we're going to see what happens to people who are not humble. You guys ready to see that?
Yeah.
All right. So the first one we're going to go to is Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18.
Chapter 16, verse 8.
18.
18. Chapter 16, verse 18.
From the little numbers.
Yeah,
I
chapter
think this is 16.
Yeah, and then the little numbers on the side. You go to 18.
chapter 16.
It's
Divine verse 18. Verse. So we're going to take a look to see what happens to people who are not meek, okay? Humble. Yes.
Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18. Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall.
So you see that? So people who are prideful, destruction is going to come their way. Yes?
What's hiding?
Haughty?
Haughty.
Haughty? That is someone who acts, how they act like they know better and they kind of have an attitude about it. Think of the Pharisee in your Dawad Amana story. How he was. He was haughty.
They have to have the last word on everything. They talk back. They know it all. You can't tell them nothing. They're very confrontational, like arguing backward and forward, backward and forward. And they're always right no matter what,
Even when they're wrong.
even when they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter or you great. Everyone else is great.
Hmm?
Everyone else is great.
Everyone else is great.
Mm-hmm.
No, with a haughty person, they think they're great and everyone else isn't great.
They think everyone else is losers and they're the winner all
Mhm.
the time.
That's sad.
Yes, it is.
They're going to feel like a fun.
Yeah, but before the lake of fire, we're going to see they're going to have destruction come their way. So we're going to see that. And then we have the story to show us, okay? So now we're going to go to Proverbs chapter 11, verse 2. Everyone say Proverbs chapter 11. Proverbs chapter 11,
Chapter 11,
verse 2.
verse 2. Those easy to find.
Yep, verse 2.
Proverbs chapter 11, verse 2. When pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom.
All right, so we read in the previous chapter in Proverbs, destruction comes to someone who's prideful. And then also, now shame is going to come. So they're going to be embarrassed for what they did. And we have a beautiful story coming soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to go to Psalms chapter 10, verse 4. Everyone say Psalms
So,
chapter 10,
Chapter 10,
verse 4.
verse 4.
Yeah, this is Psalms, but we got to find chapter 10. Okay, now look for chapter 10. Chapter,
Oh, yeah.
you see chapter 10? There you go. You're in chapter 10? Verse 4, chapter 10.
Psalms
Right here.
chapter 10, verse 4. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts.
You guys hear that?
Yeah.
What was the first part of that scripture? Reread that again.
The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God.
So what does that mean? The pride of his countenance. What does that mean? Let me hear from one of the deacons.
The way he looked, how he operates.
And how was the Pharisee when he was praying?
He
How
had
was the Pharisee when he was praying? What was his head? So he was looking like what? Prideful.
I'm not like that man over there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then he said, I buried it to him.
Yep.
That's me.
And then also, he didn't think of Yeshua in his thoughts. So when he thought about something, he didn't go seek counsel of Yeshua through the Holy Spirit. He said, you know what? I have a beautiful idea. I have a great idea. And you know what? This is the best idea. I'm going to do it. Where Yeshua is going to have a better idea for us. Yeshaya's ways is always better than ours, okay? Akan? All right. So now we added on to everything that happens to someone that's prideful and not meek. So now we're going to get the end result of everything now. So we're going to go to Psalms chapter 73, verse 6. Everyone said the book of Psalms.
The book of Psalms,
Chapter 73,
chapter 73,
verse 6.
verse 6.
Yeah, keep on 73.
I guess everybody know these scriptures.
I know.
Bring your Bible.
There you go. 73, verse 6. You're right here.
Psalms chapter 73, verse 6. Therefore, pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment.
Yeah. So the garment is your clothing, but it said violence covereth him as a garment. So think about how this covers my body. Violence covers a person who's prideful all over.
So think about if you take your favorite blanket and you cover your head with it, and then that blanket starts to punch you.
Oh my God.
Would that hurt or would that feel good? Hurt.
So you wear violence everywhere you go. Somebody picking a fight, you have violence, you argue. Somebody may shoot at you, somebody probably try to stab you. You may try to beat somebody else up. So it's follow you as a garment everywhere you go. But we know violence is what? An evil spirit. Yeah.
All right, so we just read some scriptures about what happens to a person who is not meek, but let's see a story about it, okay? So we're going to read about a man named Belshazzar. Well, we're going to find out.
Everyone say it, Belshazzar.
So with Belshazzar, he operated in pride and he was not humble. So everyone turn your book to the book of Daniel. Everyone say the book of Daniel. And we're going to go to chapter 5.
I was reading that before. You remember, Mom? Chapter 5, verse 1.
We're going to start at chapter 5.
Chapter 5, verse 6.
Yeah, Daniel.
Just wait. Chapter 5, just wait.
On chapter 5. You want chapter 5?
Chapter 5. Mama, what chapter and verse?
On chapter 5. And she didn't say a verse yet.
Yep, that's Daniel chapter 5.
Daniel chapter 5.
Yeah, Daniel chapter 5. We're going to first read verses 1 through 4. We're going to skip around a lot, okay?
So 1 through 4.
So keep your Bibles in Daniel.
Hope you know your numbers. I can count before.
Go to verse 1. All right, so let's see what happened. Okay. No.
Daniel chapter 5, verse 1. Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords, and drank wine before the thousands. Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. So when he took these golden vessels out to show up, was he showing off? He's like, here, drink out of my gold cup, not a plastic cup. Drink out of my gold cup. Is that being prideful?
No.
Was he showing off all his gold and riches?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Think about it before you all answer the question.
Right. Because he brought them out to show them off so they can drink out of them, so he can show how rich he is. Is that good or bad to show off? Bad. Verse 3. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem, and the king and his princes, his wives and his concubines drank in them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold.
Ooh.
Who they praise?
God of gold.
And what's the second commandment?
Do not worship other gods besides me.
That's right.
So
He was bad.
the gods of gold, does that sound like a higher?
No.
And of silver, is that a higher?
No.
Of brass, is that a higher?
No.
Of iron, that one?
No.
What about of wood?
No.
And of stone?
No.
No. And you said something before.
Yeah. So we can read 5 and 6. And notice he took these out of the temple of the Lord. So these weren't even his to begin with. So he took somebody else's stuff and was showing off. Would you guys like that? Let's say, Annalisa, let's say I took your beads and I put it in my head and I showed them off as mine.
She
got a
said,
problem,
what blasphemy is this?
That's for me. Oh man. I should have used you as an example.
That story sounds familiar.
So we see what happened so far. So let's take a look at verse 5 and 6 and see what happened.
Verse 5. In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand, and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part the hand that wrote. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote.
So how would you guys feel if right now you just see some fingers just writing words on the wall? You don't see nobody there, just a finger. How would y'all feel?
Wow, that's cool.
Oh, you think it's cool?
So if this what y'all saw.
A finger just right. That'd be cool. No arm attached to it. You just saw a finger.
You gotta demonstrate
We're
like
not
that.
teaching her.
You won't even know how to draw it if you right there.
No.
Y'all messing up for
It's
it.
the finger of the Most High. So it ain't cool. No. That means somebody's in trouble.
Yeah, it's not cool.
Why would you be scared if you're not doing anything?
Well, he was doing something.
That's why you scared.
Exactly.
We're going to see how scared he was in a few moments, too. Yeah.
Daniel chapter 5 verse 6. Stay focused. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote against one another.
Yeah.
So was he in the beginning of that verse? It says, "Then the king's countenance was changed." Was he still like, "Woo! Look at my golden cups," or was he like, "Oh snap! What's happening?"
How's his legs?
Oh no.
Oh no.
And his thoughts troubled him. Was he having happy thoughts or was he having scared thoughts?
No thoughts.
Scared
thoughts.
thoughts.
Show them. Shamari, show them how the king. What was he doing?
With his knees.
Yeah, he was scared. Your knees locked together.
Yes.
And he pooped on himself.
He was so scared. His mouth said,
That's
what that means.
Oh,
his loins were loose.
So there was words on the wall now, and he wanted to know what this meant. So he was trying to find someone that could understand what those words meant. So he searched and searched, and then he came across Daniel. So let's quickly read about that in verse 11. Everyone go to verse 11.
Yeah.
No, go down to 11.
And until you see the little 11.
Okay.
Daniel chapter 5, verse 11. There is a man in thy kingdom, in whom is the spirit of the holy God, and in the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, the king, I say, thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers.
So this man is telling the king Belshazzar about Daniel, how he has a spirit of God, a spirit of Ahia in him. And he was better than all of the king's magicians and soothsayers because those are nothing compared to the knowledge and power of Ahia. Okay? Yes, the wisdom. So now we're going to see what happens with Daniel and how humble he is also. So let's read verse 16 and 17. Everyone stay in Daniel chapter 5 and go to verse 16 and 17. Number 16. Verse 16.
Daniel chapter 5, verse 16. And I have heard of thee that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now, if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and shalt be the third ruler in the kingdom.
So see, the king tried to tell Daniel, if you tell me what happens, I'll give you all this gold, and then I'll make you a ruler in the kingdom. And let's see how Daniel responded.
He said no.
He did, but let's check that out, okay? So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna read verse 17, okay?
It says you don't need to change it.
Yeah, find verse 17. No, you don't have to change it. Look right there. He's so pressed.
Verse 17. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation.
So did he take his gold?
No.
He told him to keep it. Mm-hmm. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to finish off. Well, no, we're not. Sorry. We're going to read verse 18 to 20. Same chapter, verse 18 to 20. So Daniel chapter 5. So look at verse
Daniel chapter 5, verse 18. O thou king, the most high Ahiah gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father the kingdom, and majesty, and glory, and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him, whom he slew, and whom he kept alive, and whom he set up, and whom he put down. But, verse 20, but when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was deposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him.
So his father also operated in pride, and something happened to him, and we'll look at that a little bit later. So Daniel is now telling Belshazzar what's about to happen to him. So now we're going to understand what the writing on the wall meant, and we're going to read verse 22 and 23. We're about to read what it says. So verse 22 to 23. Mm-hmm.
Verse 22. And thou, his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all this, but hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought thee vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives, and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the God in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified.
So you guys see that? So now Yeshua is telling him what he did was wrong. He took the gold, the gold cups out of the temple of the Lord, and he used them for his friends, and they drank wine from it. And are we supposed to drink wine?
No.
That's right. So now he's telling him all the things that he did. So now, if we read verse 25 to 28, just go to verse 25. It's going to tell us what those words were.
Daniel chapter 5, verse 25. And this is the writing that was written, many, tekel upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing, many. God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Paris, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians.
And then we're going to finish with verse 30.
Verse 30. And that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain.
So because he did all that, what happened to him?
He's slain.
Which
What does
means
that mean?
what?
Killed.
There you go. He was
Died.
killed. So we just saw the scriptures we just read play out. So destruction was come, and then it ended with violence compassing him like a clothing, like a garment. So you guys see what happens when people operate in pride and not humble?
Yeah.
Death is going to be the end. And like Benaiah said, he's going to end up in a lake of fire.
No, not yet.
Not yet, but hell first. But his last stop is the lake of fire.
So when you're proud, when you're prideful, what happens? When you're meekness, what happens?
That's good. What is that? Going to
Prideful?
Abraham
When you think you're better than everyone else. You think you're the smartest one, no one can tell you anything. That's pride.
And like this. This is pride too. This is pride. This is pride too. This is
Are
pride.
we done with this?
Oh, yeah.
That is like this too. I better than this. I better than
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to sell that, but okay.
Okay, I'll let you do it.
Oh.
We need to watch it.
Yeah, come here.
Go ahead and do it.
Oh, okay.
So while he's doing that, we can quickly try to.
Okay.
So now we're gonna look at one person in the Bible who actually was not prideful. He was very meek. So let's go to Matthew chapter 11, verse 29. Everyone say the book of Matthew.
The book of Matthew,
Chapter 11,
chapter 11,
verse 29.
verse 20.
Now?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Oh, the thing. That's
Okay. This way. Take this one over. Let
That way. Yeah, put over.
You know all what you say.
11, verse 29.
Yep, so everyone go to Matthew chapter 11. Verse 29.
Chapter 11, verse 29.
I found chapter 11.
This is chapter 11, and we're gonna go to verse 29. See, right there. Right on 29.
29.
Verse 29. Are we going to 30 or no?
No, just 29. Yeah.
Matthew chapter 11, verse 29. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls.
So someone who is humble is Yeshaya.
Mm-hmm.
And we all want to be like Yeshaya, Khan. What's whose name? Oh, that's Yeshaya. The humble, yeah.
Yeshaya is showing
Yeshaya.
how he's weakness. So how he has weakness. So if Yeshaya is being meek, we should also be
Me.
yes.
Mhm. There you go. And then let's go ahead and we're gonna quickly show you guys something.
Yeah.
You don't sound happy about it.
Yay!
Anytime we get, I mean, And it, no.
So now, everyone, let's
Is it time to
focus
get
over
excited?
here. We're not gonna worry about what's going on in the kitchen. Yet they still look in the kitchen.
No. Give me that Bible.
Sit down. Sit down. Yeah, you gotta see what's in the kitchen. You don't have to see what she's doing. No.
But no. I don't like
You're such dummy nigga.
So we're gonna do something real quick, and then we're gonna quickly talk about it. All right, everyone.
Pay attention.
Turn
Stay
Zion.
sitting.
Zion.
Oh, I thank Yeshaya for giving me this breath so that way I can blow these bubbles. All praises to Mahaya. Pay attention.
Woo! Look at my bubbles. They're so much better than her puny bubbles.
All right. So,
Yes, those bubbles were amazing. Great, beautiful bubbles.
Listen, girl.
I blew those bubbles. I blew those bubbles. Did you see them? They were great.
No.
why you say no?
Because both of them were. She's
Both of
not.
y'all was great.
She's not great. She's great.
Oh no, Zion. Mm-mm.
Oh,
Well,
she
hers was great
she
because
was.
Yeshaya gave her breath, and she used the breath
So,
and acknowledged it.
Who operated in pride? You sure?
Yes.
Ooh.
I operated in pride.
Who was prideful? Who said, "Look at my bubbles"?
You.
Who was meek? Because she said what? She thanked who?
Shia. You said my bubbles are better than hers.
So who would Yeshaya be upset with? All right. Who would he be upset with me?
Don't be silly and participate.
So even though we were using bubbles, let's still take something back away from it. So we don't want to boast. That means brag and say things are better than someone else's. And we always give Yeshaya his glory. We give him his glory, okay? We don't say, oh, I did this myself, because we can't do nothing without Yeshaya. We can't breathe. We can't blow the bubbles without his breath that he gave us, okay? All right.
And we know from Shepherd, from the creation teaching, it says that the breath of life was blown into us. So you wouldn't have that breath to breathe if
You will pass
you would pass out.
You won't be alive.
No, we ain't. We doing that. We have
You
to.
touching her toes.
So now we're going to take a look at someone else who was humble in the Bible. And we're going to go to the book of Numbers, chapter 12, verse 3. Everyone say the book of Numbers. Everyone say the book of Numbers.
The book of Numbers.
Chapter 12, verse 3.
Go back there with your mother.
Oh, go back by your Numbers.
No numbers.
Oh, number 4.
Numbers chapter 12, verse 3. Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. Who was meek?
Moses.
Moses, yes.
Moses.
Do we remember who Moses was?
Yes.
What did he do?
He feeds the Israelites.
He freed the Israelites.
I thought she said he feeds the Israelites.
That's
I thought
her
she
free.
All right, so we talked about two people who were meek, but let's talk about two people who were not meek in the Bible. The first one we're going to get is Belshazzar's dad. So we're going to go back to Daniel, and we're going to go to chapter 4.
Do anybody know who Belshazzar's dad was?
No.
Who was Belshazzar's dad? Tell them, teachers.
Belshazzar's dad was Nebuchadnezzar.
Say it.
Nebuchadnezzar.
He was the king of Babylon.
Never.
Yeah, remember? Yeah, the king of Babylon.
What chapter and verse?
We're in chapter 4, and we're going to start at verse 30. So Daniel chapter 4, find verse 30. Find verse 30. Leave that alone. 30.
Daniel chapter 4, verse 30. The king spake and said, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty?
Oh, that's really, really bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you hear a high in there?
No. Yes.
No,
you did.
you heard my.
You heard my, me, my, I. Pronouns will get you killed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go ahead and read verse 31. So we saw he was being very prideful, saying he did all these great things. Let's see what Yeshaya got to say about it.
Daniel chapter 4, verse 31. While the word was in the king's mouth,
Follow what you're saying.
there. Verse 31. While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee. So as he was being prideful, what happened? Was the kingdom, it was taken from him.
My eye God.
Do you think he was happy or sad the kingdom was taken from him?
But it gets worse. Let's see what else. So Yeshaya took away his kingdom, and now let's see what's going to happen in verse 32 and 33.
Verse 32. And they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field.
You guys hear that?
Yeah.
So where is he going to live? With the what?
Beast of the field.
Yep, the beast of the field.
Do you want to live with the beasts of the field?
No. No. I'm gonna live with a giant. What about
What do y'all do?
It's a beast. What's oxen?
Think of a lion, think of a cow.
What's oxen? I think a bull. I think a bull.
They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen. Do you guys want to eat grass?
No.
And 7 times shall pass over thee until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men and giveth it to whomsoever he will. So Yeshaya gives his kingdom to whoever he wants. So if the kingdom was given to you, no one can take it from you. Verse 33. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers,
Ew.
and his nails like bird claws.
Oh no! Ew.
So he was living in the wild with all the animals.
He was outside. He was eating grass like animals.
he was not humble.
But who did that to
Did he have
him?
a beak? Yeshaya.
And
No.
why did Yeshaya do it to him?
Because he was
He was not meek. He was prideful.
He was prideful.
And Yeshaya did not like prideful people.
No, he likes humble.
Meekness, yes.
And we're gonna take a look at one more person who was prideful and did some other evil things. And her name is Athaliah.
What?
Athaliah.
Said,
Athaliah.
Athaliah.
oh,
Yeah. So we're gonna read in Second Chronicles. Second Chronicles chapter 22, verse 10 through 12.
What chapter and verse on Chronicles?
Second Chronicles chapter 22, verse 10 through 12.
Second Chronicles chapter 22 verse 10. But when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the seed royal of the house of Judah.
So her son was a king, but her son died. So instead of letting any of the other people who would have took the throne to be king after her son, she killed all of them. So that way she could become queen. Was that right?
No.
What does the Bible say about killing? What's the commandment?
Thou not kill. It says
That's six. She says
Oh,
six.
6.
Yeah. Yes. What's your question?
Let's do the.
That's a tribe.
That's the tribe that you're from.
Let's fly. We do the.
We're gonna actually learn about that in a couple of weeks.
oh yeah.
There's 12 tribes of Israel. We have some Judah in here. We have some Issachar in here. We got some Zebulon in here. And some people who have Gad in them. So we're going to learn.
And we are Judah.
Yeah.
And some are Issachar.
Mm-hmm. Some people have Judah and Issachar. And Gad. It's a mixture. So we'll see about all that in a couple of weeks.
You said verse 11.
Yeah.
Verse 11. But Jehoshabi, the daughter of the king of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stole him from among the king's sons that were slain, and put him and his nurse in a bedchamber. So Jehoshabi, the daughter of King Jehoram, the wife of Jehoiada, the priest, for she was the sister of Ahaziah, hid him from Athaliah, so that she slew him not.
So,
That was a good sister.
so she killed everybody but one person. And they hid that one person so that way she wouldn't kill him. So we just read his name. His name is Jehoiada.
Joash.
Yeah, Joash.
So Joash was the one that was hidden.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
So he didn't
Athaliah
die.
didn't kill him.
Because Athaliah was going through and she was killing everybody who was next in line to become kings.
So
Because she wanted to be queen.
So before she can be queen, she would have had to go through like 72 people, I believe. So she wanted to hurry up and be queen. She didn't want to wait till her turn. So she killed everybody so she can become queen instantly.
So with that, they hid Joash for a couple of years. And then finally, he came back out and then he was ready to take his place as king. So now we're going to take a look at that in chapter 23. So we're going to stay in Second Chronicles, sorry. And we're going to go to chapter 23. And we're going to read verse 11 and 13.
Second Chronicles chapter 23, verse 11 through 13.
And 13.
Verse 11. Then they brought out the king's son and put upon him the crown, and gave him the testimony, and made him king, and Jehoiada and his sons anointed him and said, God save the king. Verse 13. And she looked, and behold, the king stood at his pillar at the entering in, and the princes and the trumpets by the king, and all the people of the land rejoiced, and sounded with trumpets, also the singers with instruments of music, and such as taught to sing praise. Then Athaliah rent her clothes and said, Treason, treason.
So now he's king now. Joash is king, and now she's no longer the queen. So now he made an order. He told them anybody who followed Athaliah, they were supposed to be killed with her. So then we're going to see that in verse 21.
No, we go to verse 21.
To the dogs with the mom.
Verse 23. Sorry, chapter 23.
Where is the ad?
It's verse 21.
Yep, we about to read what happened to her.
2 Chronicles chapter 23, verse 21. And all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city was quiet. After that, they had slain Athaliah with the sword.
So we see another person who wasn't humble and who was also impatient and murdered someone. They got slain also. So destruction came to them, and violence was like them as a garment around them. So when there's pride, there's destruction, there's violence. That person's going to die and end up in hell. And violence. So let's say your brother punches you, and then you punch him back, and the others start fighting. That's violence. But y'all not going to do that because y'all love each other.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
I saw that, Annalisa. She was nice.
You don't love, you don't get to go to the New Jerusalem. Remember that. No love, no New Jerusalem.
So now we're going to go to Ephesians chapter 4, verse 1 and 2. So everyone, let's go to the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 1 and 2.
Verse 1 and 2? Ephesians.
Well, say that for
Amana, what verses?
Verse
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
If you're not going to
Chapter 4, right? Ephesians chapter 4, verse 1. Therefore, the prisoner of the Lord beseech you, that ye walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called, with all lowliness and meekness, with long suffering, forbearing one another in love.
So every last one of us was called and chosen by Yeshua. And we are to also operate in lowliness and meekness. So we're supposed to be humble and operate in all the fruits of the Spirit. And we're not going to be prideful in nothing that we do for Yeshua, because if we do, he's not going to accept it, and then we're going to have destruction, okay? So when all you guys start operating your spiritual gifts, you guys are going to do it what? Humble. You're going to be meek. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to get Colossians chapter 3, verse 12.
Colossians.
Two books over.
So we're going to read Colossians chapter 3, verse 12.
Colossians chapter 3, verse 12. Put on therefore as the elect of God, holy and beloved, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering.
So we see about the meekness and also long suffering. So the fruits of the Spirit, they all go hand in hand. We're going to look at now Matthew chapter 18, verse 4. So everyone go to Matthew chapter 18, and we're going to go to verse 4.
Is this 18?
Chapter 18.
Matthew chapter 18, verse 4. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven.
All right, and then we're going to get our last scripture, 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. So 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14.
2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14.
Sit down.
If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive their sin, and will heal their land.
All right, so did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
What did it say?
I hear our land.
I didn't hear you.
I hear our
And heal our land.
And heal their land. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to look at a quick story with Daniel, someone who was humble. So we're going to go to Daniel chapter 6. So we're going to go to Daniel chapter 6, everyone. And then just get to chapter 6 and then we'll continue.
You got it?
Daniel chapter 6.
6 verse 7. Verse 6. You ain't even on the right thing. You're not even on the right thing.
You want me to read 6 and 7? You want me to read 6 and 7? Or are you going to talk first? Oh, that's what I meant.
So Daniel, Daniel, we all know he was a man of God. So he served and he kept the laws and commandments, right? And he was very humble. But yes, there were some people that were jealous of him and they didn't like him and they wanted him to fall. And that's not okay. So what they decided to do was they decided to talk to the king. And they talked to the king and told him, hey, you should make a law that everyone has to worship you. And if they don't worship you, then they're going to be punished. So these people tried to catch Daniel up. And they went to the king and they saw Daniel praying. He was praying. He was worshiping Ahia and he was praying. And they saw him and they told the king. And then the king responded. And let's see what the king said. So we're going to read Daniel chapter 6, verse 16.
Daniel chapter 6, verse 16. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee.
So what did they do to him to punish him? Where did they put him?
In the den of the lions.
Yeah, it was. So they put him in the lion's den. Yep. So the people who tried to get Daniel punished, this is what happened. The king saw it because he made a decree and he couldn't go back on his word. Right.
The angels.
We'll get there. Yep. So they threw Daniel in the lion's den, and while he was in the lion's den, he was still in the presence of Yeshua. Yeshua still saw him in that, and they closed the mouth of the lion, so he was still protected. Yeah, good job. You gotta talk louder. So that's what happened. And now let's see what happened after that. We're gonna read verse 19.
Daniel chapter 6, verse 19. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in haste unto the den of lions.
So he wanted to see, because he didn't want that to happen to Daniel, but he made that decree. So that means he made a law and he had to keep it. So now he was trying to see what happened. So he ran early in the morning to see if Daniel was still alive. And let's see what happened when he got there. Verse 22.
Verse 22.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel chapter 6, verse 22. My God hath sent his angel and hath shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me, for as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt.
So Annalisa, you were right. Amaris, you were right. He sent that angel to protect them, and he closed his mouth, the lion's mouth. But let's talk about the people who were evil against Daniel. Let's see what happened to them in verse 24. Verse 24.
Verse 24. And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives, and the lions had the mastery of them, and break all their bones in pieces, whenever they came at the bottom of the den.
Did y'all hear that?
Ate the whole thing.
So they got killed and their children.
And the wives. And what happened to them?
The baby.
All of them.
Them dead too.
The lions were very hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And then now they was full.
Yep.
Now they're full.
They ate all that food.
Right.
Orders.
So we saw with Daniel how he was humble and Yeshua came through. So we always have to be humble and know and trust that Yeshua is going to come through for us. Have that faith. So operate in all the fruits of the Spirit, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we're going to go ahead and stand up and we're going to have our song.
Stand up.
All right, stand up.
Stand up. Find your parents. Oh. Wow. Find your parents.
Are you guys ready? I don't hear you.
Yeah!
You better get excited. Oh no, we're not doing what we want. We're gonna take what we
Get
get.
what we get. Not what we fits.
Say please.
You got it.
I have the blue one.
My children will just leave me to dance by myself.
Yes, sir. They would show you.
I'm dancing with you.
Everybody got it?
Thank you, Zay.
Who's missing one? Who's missing a light?
Okay. Next week is the last fruit of the spirit. Everybody learn the fruit of the spirit dance. It was shown to you all. We're gonna do it next week.
Okay, that was nice.
All right. Y'all go sit down so we can close out.
Talk about
It was
that.
y'all sit down.
If lights to SWAT and sit down, please, so we can close out.
He over there.
All right, you have this
Learn
SWAT.
about what's gonna happen next week.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Well, your friend is away.
All right, come here.
So we thank you all for joining us here on the chat for our for our Children of Light Bible study on the fruits of the Spirit. Next week, what are we learning about?
Separate.
No, we didn't.
No, this is our last one. Next week.
I know what's separate. Self-control.
Oh, we're gonna talk about it next week. So be here on time.
All right.
All right. Yeah. So we ask that you join us at 2 p.m. for our main Shabbat lesson. No. Kwam Yasharallah.
Kwam Yasharallah.